Once again, congratulations to everyone on your selection as a semi and for the few individuals that are now going to work at Ford Field Friday and Saturday. It's a great honor. And as we talked about at the clinic, you've already won. So you have nothing to prove. You just need to go and have your best game, relax, enjoy the experience, and stick together. So we have a few plays that I've picked up from the semifinals, and overall, we did pretty well with the semis. There are a few areas that maybe we need to brush up on. So we're going to start with some scrimmage plays. And what we're going to focus on here is we're going to have a pass play that's going to come from the trip side of the field towards the short side. And the deep wing picks up on that really, really well. The fact that the pattern is not coming to his initial responsibility, adjusts, gets back to the goal line pylon in plenty of time, set up shop, and now we're going to have that pass. He is in position to see the knee down and the spot where forward progress will be marked. So good job. We didn't get a chance to see the back judge, who is also at the goal line and is framing this in, bracketing with the side judge here. So what we want to do is we want to put air in the whistle as soon as we recognize firm control down, stop the clock for first out. Next clip. All right, here we're going to have some action that is going to go to the bottom of the screen, well, up the middle actually. And what we get is a big hit, which jars this ball loose. But what we want to see here is that we have good cushion by the back judge. Now, the back judge recognized the situation. He was able to comfortably backpedal to maintain cushion. I was glad to see him come to a stop here and make a good, solid, incomplete pass signal. Same thing with our deep wing at the top of the screen. He reads the pattern going deep. We get contact and obviously an incomplete pass. Good job. All right, next clip. All right, so now we have our deeps on the back pylon. Here is why we need people off of that back pylon back towards that dotted line. This action is pretty close to the pylon. Sometimes it'll get even closer to the pylon where we've got feet down somewhere near the sideline and the end line. We had a play like that, if you remember, in the training session that we did a week or so ago at the office. All right, now, if necessary, the deep wing can back straight up, back towards the track, if this play gets even closer to the back pylon. But that's exactly what we want. Also notice our back judge does not go sprinting over there. He turns, gets stationary, is in good position to help if with catch, no catch, or a line as the case may be. So this is really well done. And we get help from our short wing as well. Moves to the goal line and very smoothly done. Good job. Next clip. All right, now we've got a pass that's going to the back third of the end zone here. And this is just a reminder that when we read as deep or yes, as deep wings, that the pass is going to be in the back third of the end zone. We want to come down that plane, which would be the back edge of the white or the blue in this case, a step or two, get stationary and be prepared to assist the back judge with catch, no catch, including the lines. Okay. Now we remain stationary here. It works out fine. Obvious incomplete pass. Ideally, we would have the deep wing take a step or two down that plane, get stationary like he did here to make that call. Next clip. All right, now we got quarterback that's flushed. Now, in this particular case, the receivers really don't go very deep, which is helpful But in most situations where the quarterback is running around, we end up with at least one receiver that gets 30, 40 yards downfield. So we've got to be prepared to defend that from a deep wing and back judge perspective. Now we have action near the sideline. Now, let's say this receiver steps out of bounds. Now, whether he steps out voluntarily or due to contact, it does not matter. We put the hat down in the white, which signals to everyone that we have a receiver out of bounds. Now, we don't get a hat down. We don't get a look at the sideline. So my presumption is that he stayed in bounds. But just a reminder what we do. And then at the end of the play, if he is first to touch, and then we need to report to the referee what we have. We have a good catch because contact put him out of bounds. Or in the case of he's the first to touch when he went out on his own, we would have a flag for illegal touching. That would be a live ball foul, which could then offset another foul or be the only foul in the field, which is loss of down at the previous spot. Okay, next clip. One of the things we've been talking this year is about read and react. And sometimes the runner comes out of a group of players, where we don't always have the chance to identify him real quick. As soon as we realize that that player may break it, like here, that's when we got to open up the hip and we've got to give ground so that we get to our pylon. Now, all of these plays are in there to illustrate some issues that we had or things that we can do better. That's a better way to put it, heading into our final. So this is properly done by the deep wing at the top of the screen. Running play comes out of a pile and boom, he's gone. All right. You can see him moving. Shoulders are approximately parallel to the sideline. Finds the goal line, gets set, brackets with the back judge. Well done. Okay, next clip. All right, now this is our old friend from the difference between a 5-person back judge and a 7-person back judge. So here's a reminder, back judges. You have the deep wings who are on the goal line. So when you have a play like this, what we want you to do is give ground at least into the middle of the end zone. And depending on the speed of the player and how deep this is going into the end zone, you might go all the way back to the end line to officiate this play. This would be absolutely correct mechanics in 5, but in 7, we want you to give ground so that you can defend the end line if necessary. Next clip. All right, now just a reminder from a crew perspective standpoint. When the deep wings go to the back pylon, that means that our short wings have responsibility for the goal line. You can see the short wing at the top of the screen went to the goal line. Our short wing at the bottom of the screen did not. So as we're doing our pregame work, let's just make sure that we cover those scenarios. And that goes along with our coordination of when we go from the goal line pylon to the back pylon. We need to make sure that we remind the short wing that the goal line belongs to him or her because we are at the back pylon so that we can avoid scenarios like this. Okay, next clip. All right, reverse mechanics. In effect, what we have now is a punt return. So what we need is for the short wings to assume the position that we normally assume, staying ahead of the runner. And as you can see here, we end up with 2 officials basically side by side. Now, We know that in some situations that seven-person mechanics is relatively new to officials around the league and or around the crew. And in this particular case, my guess is the short wing has always been a five-person line of scrimmage person and forgot about the fact they had a deep wing. So something again to talk about in the pregame, not only on change of possessions, but especially in punt returns, which we'll get to in a few minutes. We need to make sure that that short wing does not penetrate too far downfield, so we end up like this. Next clip. All right, now we need to do some goal line coordination here. Now, what we want to do, and by the way, I should have announced this to begin with. We're not picking on anyone. We're just using these as illustrations. Now, the short wing needs to stop at about the 5-yard line. Now, if he has the runner out of bounds, um, prior to that point, obviously he's going to come up and take the forward progress spot, but he should pause around the 5-yard line so that we can communicate in terms of where this dead ball spot is going to be put. And the deep wing will take the lead on that unless the short wing has the runner out of bounds prior to getting inside the 5. So here we start with that communication before the snap, and we just remind both parties that it will be the short wings forward progress spot until we get to the 2. But until we get it determined where that spot is going to be, we want that short wing to pause at the 5 and then step up to the 3 or wherever it happens to be. So we need to talk about this, and then we need to remind each other when we're out on the field, the fact, hey, I'm here, you've got it to the 2, and then the deep wing is going to take it from the 2 in. Next clip. All right, now just a reminder, we talked about in East Lansing that backpedaling is one of the main culprits of losing our cushion. And here we don't read this particularly well and we end up getting beat. So we need to make sure that we keep our cushion by reading, by opening, getting started. Here we're pretty stationary until that pass is thrown. We've got to be able to defend the goal line. All right, Gregor, let's stop at this particular point, and now let's move to goal line coordination. We had a little bit of that in the previous group, and we're going to cover it just a little bit more for emphasis here. So we're going to have a play that's going to go to the top of the screen, and our deep wing is in perfect position. He's back at what would be the limit line, goal line extended. And here comes the play. And once again, we get our short wing over penetrates. You can see that the deep wing lets him know that, I've got the spot. We want that short wing to stop at the 5-yard line. Clearly, this runner is inside the 2. So we end up with basically looking at dead ball action from the same point of view. We want the short wing to stop and then to look at action around the runner. Oh, next clip. Snapping from about the 7. Oh, okay. In addition to coordination at the goal line, we also have a fumble. All right. So it's fine that the short wing puts the beanbag out. We might have 2 beanbags in this particular situation. Clearly, the deep wing should drop a bag as well. Now, we put the bag down actually where he goes out of bounds as opposed to where he actually fumbled the ball. The ball was fumbled at about the 4, all right? But we've got to communicate before every snap. Hey, I'm here. You got it to the 2. We just get excited here. My assumption is, once again, either we just flat out got excited or that this is a 5-person line of scrimmage person. So um, anyway, we just need to work out those so that we do that more smoothly if we have that situation Friday or Saturday. Okay, next clip. Okay, so let's now go to OPI alert. We've just got a couple of these. I want to put this out in front of you. Again, keep in mind that these teams have been practicing since August, and they may have some tricks up their sleeve. Now, this first situation is going to be a crossing route, and when we look at this from the end zone view, you can see that we're going to have the wide receiver come down tight inside. All right, the wide receiver at the top of the screen, he's going to slant inside. Now, deep wings, when you see this happen in motion, when he goes back to the center, that's an OPI alert. Okay. Now, the defensive back avoids contact. He goes around him. Had there been contact there, the contact would have been the responsibility of the offensive player. So the defensive back stayed in the play by going around the potential contact, and then we have a pass out of bounds. Now, we need physical contact for OPI to be our call. It can't be just that the defensive back goes around him and there's no contact. So just something to be aware of. Back judges, that should gain your attention when you see receivers that are coming back towards the middle as well. And we have trips to would be to the right of the back judge. So his eyes would be coming with probably number 7. So if there's contact in there, at the very least, we should have a question for our deep wing or our short wing, as the case may be. Okay, next clip. All right, so we've got trips, 44 went in motion legally. His block was okay. We had clearly blocking mode there on the part of the receivers that remained. They both show blocking action. Now, in this particular case, it becomes a running play. So we had an OPI hanging, but we didn't have a pass. So we need to have a couple of pieces. First of all, it has to be a legal forward pass. Secondly, the blocks must be beyond the line of scrimmage. And thirdly, we have to have a pass that crosses the neutral zone. So we'd have OPI hanging here, but knowing that we're not going to have a foul because we ended up with a running play. Next clip. All right, now we've got a pass that is caught. First of all, we always need to, our line of scrimmage person must always know whether the pass crosses the line or not. In this particular case, it's fairly obvious that this is behind the line. Ball is touched somewhere around the 5-yard line. We snap from the 2 or the 3. So, but you can see there's blocking mode out there. It wasn't a very good block, but it's meant to illustrate the fact that we could have had OPI if the circumstances had been different. All right, let's jump to a couple of plays in foul selection. Just want to remind you, for the most part, we did a good job on Saturday with our foul selection. There might have been one where we went a little too quick, that we didn't wait to determine the adverse effect that the potential foul had on a player. And had we observed that, probably we don't throw on it. Now, we don't have the benefit of seeing the whole action here. We're going to get a flag from our deep wing. Now, we have some contact by the defensive back, we can't really tell what effect that it had. Now, what I would say is back judge or short wing, particularly back judge, since those are the people that we're working with here. Um, if you have any piece of this whatsoever, if your eyes take you there, um, it would be appropriate for you to have a conversation, slow the deep wing down. What do you have? Okay, what foul category are you putting this into? Um, so that we don't go too quickly. And particularly if you have information, like say, hey, look, I saw that. That just was not enough for me to throw on, and consider picking that up. The other point that we want to make here is we finish the play with an incomplete pass signal, not stop the clock. Okay. The short wing gave the correct signal that the deep wing should have given, incomplete pass. Next clip. All right, now we throw on that. Now, if we look at where this contact is initiated, this probably looks like, oh my God, the defensive back grabbed him. And there is clearly some contact there. What we need to judge is whether it took speed or balance away from the receiver. Now, here we can justify a foul. I wouldn't say this is a strong foul, but I would grade it as correct just from the standpoint that you can see his speed and clearly his balance is affected to a certain extent by this contact. What we have to be careful of, though, is that we don't have a bigger foul that is committed by the player that originally is fouled. Like a big time push off might mean that we would have two fouls. We would have DH as well as OPI. So just something to consider there. Wait to make sure that you see the full impact of what contact took place, right? Then the other part is whether you're the back judge or the field judge, we need to do this while we're in retreat mode so that we maintain our cushion. 21 almost catches this ball. And if he catches the ball, there's no way that our deep wing is going to be able to take this play to the goal line. Good cushion by our back judge. Good job. Okay, next clip. All right, running play here. Now, a pretty obvious hold right there in the center of the field, grab and restrict, and we do get a flag down. Couple of points here. First of all, this block should belong to the back judge. Grab and restrict, takedown. So we get a flag on this action. Okay, let it run. Hook and turn if you want. It's a foul. All right. Now, the deep wing would have the action involving the wide receiver, and we're okay with that. Now, the teaching point here is back judges, we have to finish the play. Well, not just the back judge, anyone that calls a foul. All right. Good that we got the flag down, that we recognized the foul. But look how quick we leave the action and the players to come up and report a foul. We don't need to be in that big a hurry. For one thing, you have 0-2-0, so you're going to be able to give your information to the referee. You can come up and adjust your flag and all of that. We just need to make sure that we finish plays with good dead ball officiating. Next clip. That's the first one. So let's go back. Okay, that was foul selection. Let's go to catch, no catch. Just put a couple of these in. There's one, we did overall a good job. There's one that we should have made incomplete. All right, this is a big hit. Go back to the beginning of that one for us, Gregor. All right, we're going to get a big hit, kind of a sandwich effect that's going to take place right about the hash mark. Now, helmets are up. There's going to be some contact, no doubt about it, but we don't have any action that is launching. There's no intent here um, to hit above the shoulders. We just knock it out of there. And then the other piece of this that you might pick up from this first view is that he tries to catch the ball, but you can see it lands there on the turf. Now that opens up to the back judge, might open up to the deep wing, should open up to the short wing, but our umpire does a great job. He spins, clearly sees this is incomplete, helps us out with a signal. That's good crew mechanics. We need to compliment our umpires when they help us in this way. Good job by the crew. All right, next clip. Now, while we're dialing this one up, remember there are three keys to a catch. First of all, firm control, getting feet down, doing something common to the game. And the other piece is if you're going to the ground, you have to survive the ground. All right. Now, this ball comes out and we play this as a fumble. We rule it as a fumble. All right. So let's go back and watch it one more time. Put this through the filter of firm control, doing something common to the game, and in this particular case, surviving the ground. Okay, did he have a chance to put it away? No. Did he survive the ground? No. So this is one that we want to make incomplete. All right. This is a turnover. See that just there's no time for number 4 to do something common to the game to put this ball away. Make that incomplete. All right. Let's jump ahead now to PAT and field goal. Now, you'll recall that in Lansing, we had a conversation about pull and shoot. I want to make that one last, Gregor, the one that you're at right now with the red shirts. So let's go to, oh, this is in here. I knew I had this in here for a reason. All right, now notice that our deep wing at the top of the screen is hurrying to get back to his back pylon. Now, he makes it in time, but he's not been able to perform his pre-snap routine. He certainly is not settled. He's not back to that rear intersection like the deep wing is over here at the right of the screen. All right. Now, just a reminder, we don't assume that we're going to have 1 point attempt. We're going to hang around the back cushions or the back pylons for both of our deep wings until we see some evidence that we have a kicker and a holder and that's the formation that they are going to play from. At that point, there's still plenty of time for our field judge to come in and assume his position under the upright and for the side judge to come in and occupy the space as the double umpire. All right. All right, next clip. All right, now you can see our side judge coming in from the right of the screen. Okay. This is the opposite of what I just said. All right. We have team A in PAT formation. We have kicker and holder down. We need to recognize that. That's not only the side judge's responsibility, that's everyone on the crew. All right. So umpires, well, probably don't have umpires on this call, but certainly the field judge should be aware that we don't have double umpire and we should be on the horn saying, hey, PAT, side judge, get in there. We need to communicate this. All right. Again, crew communication. Next clip. All right, now here, notice how wide our side judge is. Our side judge is probably 3, 4 yards wider than the tight end. All right, he's deep enough at about 7 yards, but you should be somewhere in the neighborhood of the tight end or in, depending on where the players are, to be able to have an angle to see what's going on inside. So a reminder there about where we need you to be, side judges. Okay, next clip. All right, now here, look at our side judge, which is would be on the defense's left side. All right. Look at all the players over here on the umpire side. We need to get you to the strong side of the defensive formation. There are only 4 white shirts would be to the right of the snapper. We have 7 players on the other side of the formation. The side judge and the umpire need to flip here because if we're going to get a game, whether it be hurdling, leaping, pull and shoot, it's most likely to come from the defense's strong side. So we need to get you over on the other side. Okay, now let's go to the clip involving the red team. This clip was brought to my attention by the side judge on this particular game. We're going to look at number 56. And he's eventually going to come into the picture here. He is on the other side of 54 there, and he's right there. Oh, excuse me, 52. All right, number 52 is going to execute a little pull on number 55 white, which is going to allow a player to come through. We get a flag down on this. We picked it up for a defensive hold. It was interesting that we talked about it last Sunday, and on Saturday we got one. Okay. And number 5 almost got through to block the kick. Now, again, if we have the pull, but we don't get the shoot, we're just simply going to warn the player and the coach. But here we're going to get the shooter through the hole, which creates an obvious advantage. And whether he blocks the kick or not, we're going to foul that as defensive holding. Now, where we're most likely to see an illegal action like this is when we have a key PAT or field goal that has a major impact on the game. So usually late in the game, maybe late in the half. Typically, teams will save this kind of action, figuring that the more times they run it, the more likely it is that we're going to see it and catch it. But we have to be ready for it, umpires and side judges every time. Good job by the side judge recognizing the pull and shoot. All right, we're going to finish up tonight with a few punts. If there was one area from the semis that surprised me a bit, that thought we had spent plenty of time on during our time in East Lansing, it was this. We have to get all 3, the back judge and the 2 deep wings, at least 7 yards deep behind the kick returner. And then we have to make adjustments based on the depth of the kick in terms of giving ground in particular. If the kick is short, we don't have to hurry to get up to our new spot because distance is our friend. Now, in this particular case, this set of deep 3, they were plenty deep. And if you're going to make a mistake, I'd rather see you be a little bit deeper. Here, the deep wings are at least 10 yards deep, which is fine, gives them a chance to officiate from a distance as your friend point of view. Back judge is probably a good 17. This is a little bit deep. But again, if you're going to make a mistake with it, I'd rather have you do it in this fashion. Now, there was a strong north wind that was blowing, and I'm sure that that played into the thought process of the deep three on this particular punt. Um, Once again, I we can adjust moving forward. And here, my preference would be that the back judge would come up a little bit quicker, a little bit further to take this play. All right, next punt. That was the exception. Most of our mistakes with the kicking game occurred where we did not have proper cushions downfield. Now, our deep wing at the top of the screen really rushed the stage here. And he ended up ahead of the kick. Want you to stay behind the kick and make adjustments so that you keep your 7 yard cushion. All right. Now, watch what he does. To keep his perspective on the ball, he turns his back on all of the players. All right. This is ball watching. We're going to put the ball on a yard line anyway, but we want to be behind the ball. And clearly, we don't want the back judge watching the ball roll out of bounds. Back judges, you need to be looking at the players, the opponents that are in the vicinity in this area of the field. All right. Until the ball becomes dead, and then we can begin the process of ball exchange or getting the ball into the hash. All right, next clip. Okay, that looked like a play from scrimmage, but once again, time score and situation, we have to anticipate the possibility that we could have a quick kick. Now, the back judge is all over this, and I give him high marks for this. Whether this was a quick read and react or whether he was counting on it, he got back there to the goal line and was able to make a decision that the ball did not break the plane of the goal line. And again, not picking on anyone, but our deep wing at the top of the screen does not recognize this and ends up in bad position in terms of this ball in relation to the goal line. Ideally, we would have him where he is right now um, prior to the ball getting to the goal line. All right. So, from a crew perspective, fourth down around midfield, fourth and about 9 or 8. We ought to be keying the mic. Hey, alert for a quick kick so that we don't get caught surprised. All we need is one person on the crew to remind us, and it may save us. All right, next clip. Okay, here's one that we almost got in trouble on. All right, so if we run that back, Gregor. All right, whether we're kicking with the wind or not, we have got to respect the fact that this ball on turf, whether it's wet or dry, may skid. Now, the back judge in particular ends up in really a tough position. This kick returner almost gets behind him, but look what he has to do to stay out of the way, turns his back to the field. We have to read and react and stay behind these kicks. See, back judge is in too big of a hurry to come up and drop his beanbag. We don't need that beanbag to be precisely at the spot. We just need to get it down in the general vicinity. And if necessary, we can adjust it later. Now, the other parts of this, we have a couple of screen blocks. These are definitely not blindside blocks. You can see that this team is well coached. These players come up, recognize that it's a blind situation, and basically screen off both of those players. Good job. Now, once again, we have our short wing previously mentioned on change of possession. that penetrates too far downfield because more than likely he's been on a 7-person crew all year. So once again, in your pregame, we need to talk about these things in terms of the distance that they're going to proceed downfield. We want them to stay behind the last wave of players from Team A. Okay. So we end up with what should have been the deep wing spot at what about the 15-yard line. Okay, next clip. All right, so we're punting from the plus 46. So goal line is definitely in play here, right? Now, we move up too quickly, anticipating that this ball is going to do something when the goal line is still definitely in play. I just need to emphasize that we need to always defend the goal line. We can always move up if the goal line is not threatened after the ball is recovered and the return takes place. But we can't always retrace our steps and find the goal line. We should have never left the goal line in this particular play. Okay, next clip. I want to do a couple of those here just to illustrate a couple of points. All right, first of all, go ahead and let it run, Gregor. We want to wait deep wings for Team A to cross our face before we move. Now, that's for a couple of reasons in the event that it is a shorter kick. But number two, it's a timing mechanism. If we move too quickly, it's more likely that we're going to penetrate too far downfield. Now, in this particular case, this is fielded at about the 5, and in short order, we have the collisions at about the 30 to the 25. So we really don't want to be too far from the 50 to take a look at our responsibilities, which are the three widest players. Okay. So we have a tendency that we move too far downfield and we lose our angles. So we want to be very conscious of not over penetrating. Okay, next clip. See the deep wing? He's got his feet moving and he's shuffling. And if necessary, was prepared to turn the hip, open the hip, and go full tilt. The other thing to notice is that the back judge gets into the hash mark. That's exactly what we need to have happen so that we have inside out coverage as well as outside in coverage. Okay, next clip. All right, we've been talking about mid-range kicks all year. Now, you can notice that our deep wing at the bottom of the screen does not leave the 50. That is absolutely correct mechanics because if he had gone further downfield, he would have lost the perspective of seeing through the blocks. So good job by our deep wing holding his position. Okay, next clip. All right, our deep wing at the top of the screen maintains his cushion, allows this play to finish going out of bounds, and then comes up and helps clean up out of bounds. Good timing there by the deep wing. All right, skip ahead, Gregor. See, our deeps did not move off of the 50, but yet we come down and we take an out of bounds spot. let the short wing come up and take that spot. Stay back here at the 50 and clean up around the pile with your eyes. We handle the first part of this mechanic really, really well. And then we want to come down and take a spot that doesn't really matter. Now, we do get help from the umpire, which is good, but we want the deep wing to be looking in from the outside. All right, next clip. All right, we have 6 in the box. All right. So now just a reminder that hold it just a second, Gregor, before you let it run. All right, before the kick, after the PAT, we're coming up the sideline. Both sidelines need to have a brief conference. Review who has what. All right, the back judge umpire, you got restraining line. That's your first job. And on a short kick situation, we're treating it as a pane of glass. If you break the pane of glass, we're going to shut it down and call encroachment, right? If they're clean with that, then the next part of this is that the back judge umpire are going to help with early blocks, all right, and finish the play, all right? So then the man in the middle, the short wings, they are primarily responsible for early touching as well as blocking, all right? And sometimes your best look is from across the field. So if the kick goes to the bottom of the screen, the guys at the top don't have the play off. You may be able to help the crew with an illegal touch or some other piece of this, maybe an early block that will save the crew. Now, the deep wing pretty obviously has responsibility for the restraining line. Does it go 10? Is Team A eligible to touch the ball? Can assist with early blocking, those sorts of things. But we want to make sure that we review responsibilities and we have everyone on the same page. Now, in this particular case, go ahead and let it run. They boom it away and it becomes a touchback. All right. Next clip. The point of the matter is we were ready, whatever they did. All right. Now, this is going to be one where we're going to have, well, let it run. This is a ball that never makes it to the restraining line, but we get an early block. I believe it's number 6. It's a single digit over there. All right. Now, the fact that it doesn't go 10 yards doesn't mean anything. He still can't block. So we need to have a flag down here for blocking before they're eligible to touch. And the kick eventually goes out of bounds, right? But we still should have the flag down, report the foul for the illegal blocking. All right. So some things to talk about, some things to prepare. Clearly, when we get to that point in the game where a short kick is most likely, and we put 6 in the box, we need to make sure we have that conference. Just remember that every free kick is a short kick until it's not. All right, let's go to the final clip of the night. And this involves crew communication. What we're going to have is we're going to have a running play that's going to go towards the top of the screen, and the runner is going to go down in such a way that the short wing cannot see the runner down in the ball, right? Now he comes in and says the runner is down, right? First of all, and I realize we don't have short wings here. If you don't see the ball and you don't see a knee down with the player with the ball, you don't make a decision immediately. What we really needed to have happen was to let this play finish out and for a conference to ensue. Now, in this particular play, it opens up to the umpire. I'd like to see the umpire get involved in this play and make a definitive statement and go, no, this ball is out, or no, yes, he is down. Might also be a play that the short wing from the other side of the field would get involved with. Maybe the back judge would have a piece of information. The point of this whole clip is that at the end of the day, the crew has to get this play right. Now at Ford Field, you're going to have the benefit of replay. But what we don't want to do is to put this totally in the hands of replay. We want a ruling on the field that is determined by the crew. All right. So at the end of this play, everyone that has a piece of the pie needs to come in. Umpire, maybe both short wings, maybe the back judge in different situations, maybe the referee. Um, and we need to talk about it. What did you see? What did you see? What did you see? And then we need to figure out a ruling on the field. Now, just remember that someone needs to babysit both sidelines. All right. Now, make sure that you open up your microphone when you're having the conversation so that the people that are over there keeping the sidelines back know what the conversation is about. That's what we need to do when we talk about game management, when we talk about having um, each other's backs. This is the kind of play that we need to come together because group mentality is almost always stronger than individual intellect. So once again, congratulations. There were a few things from the semis. I didn't get a chance to look at every semi. Um, And I did get a few plays from people, which was very, very helpful. Hopefully, a few reminders here. Um, if you, we're going to record this, we are recording it, so you're going to get a chance to review it if you like. Feel free to use anything that has been presented here for part of your pregame or share it with someone else. We just need to go into that game with the best preparation possible. And the better prepared we are, the more calm we will be. And just have a really, really great time working this game. So if you are working on Friday, I'll have the benefit to be able to watch you work. I do have an assignment on Saturday to observe for the NCAA at Fair State, so I will not be there on Saturday. Um, so regardless of which day you're working, have a great time and do a great job. So, best wishes to all. Have a great evening, and we'll talk soon. Good night.